Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Friday. It's March 20th. This will be our chart lesson for today, and we finally wrapped this week up. Uh, a lot of trades today, especially right in here. There's a lot of longs off this low right here. You had to kind of be patient. Um, unless you were here early, there was no way to catch this move up. You could have entered here or here, most likely. But that's before the 7 o'clock hour, and there's just no way to enter. You don't want to enter this first entry right with that ugly signal bar, even though it's right off the trend line. I don't think you want to enter there. You want to wait on a second entry, and you never get it till here. And then I'm thinking you probably want to make a wait on a second entry off the low, which doesn't come till here. And that was a nice trade. Then you get a failed second entry short, another chance to go long. You make a new high. First entry, pull back, another second entry, and where is it? Right off that trend line. This one was tempting, but the bar's too big. It's too close to the high. You're better off to wait on the second entry, which comes here. Another good move. Then it pulls back right here and tests that trend line again. Another chance to enter. And on this one, you might have wanted to use a limit order. I think it worked regardless. Um, Let me just double check that before I tell you that. Entry was 95, and yeah, it was easy, but because it didn't have a perfect, because it didn't close on its high right there. Let me make this a little bigger so I can explain this. Notice that didn't close on its high, and it's technically a first entry on this chart, but if you went to a little smaller chart, you'd see two legs back to the trend line. But because that's not a really great signal bar, I liked using a limit order here. And you would have gotten filled right at the top. I don't know if you'd have got filled a tick back in, but I know I got filled right at the top, and it didn't matter anyway now looking back. But I'd probably use a limit order there for that reason. And then pulls back first entry, pull back. You get another second entry again. You probably might have considered using a limit order there. It's a very close to a repeat pattern of that, so you didn't have to. Um, then it pulls back and it gives you a second entry counting off the low. And if you weren't in yet, you want to enter here. And even if you were in, you might want to add on here. And a couple of these were possibly add-ons, but once you saw this high, you're probably exiting when it gets up to the highs. We did have a break of what looked like this channel trend line right here, but it just kept going higher. And at the time, notice this line here, I was playing this little tight channel early on, but the fact that we weren't getting up here had to leave you to believe that maybe something else was going on. And when this thing just kept going higher and higher, then you had to look at the bigger picture. And it did turn out, it looks like there's a bigger two-tiered. You can see the two channels in the midline, and it fits perfectly. So I do believe it's valid. But at the same time, you had this next trend working up, and there's probably even a midline in that one. I don't have it on there, but I was pretty much done by this time. But you can see there is a midline working up through there on that one. So you could play this channel now, and there's a pullback first entry, pullback, and the second entry right there. Look at that nice bullish. This was really your signal bar was here, and then it would have changed to this one because it was a little inside and hadn't broken higher. But I would have waited on this bar when it closed. Just go long right there. Um, and you're looking for at least a measured leg. You're hoping for a measured leg like that right there from this point, and you can see that's pretty much where we got to, almost a perfect measure move, and then we corrected, and that correction ended up lasting from 10:30 to 11:40, a little over an hour. And then it started up again. We really didn't get a break there, though, of this short-term channel. So just keep playing that. It was tempting to enter right here, but I think you needed to wait. And when you got that failed second entry short right there, notice the new low, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. It's a new high right here, so pull back first entry, pull back second entry. So it's second entry a couple of different ways. The failed second entry short, you got to take, and look how it took off. You got to take that one. And then it's really late in the day here, but I went ahead and marked these. It's right at the 2 o'clock hour. Notice there's actually, this is just a pullback to the midline, And there's one leg here, a correction, then another leg, and those are almost measured legs. It's not a beautiful signal bar. Oh, I had an interruption there. But it's not a great setup, but it's still a trade that you might consider. But when it pulls back right here and starts higher again, you definitely want to get in there. And I think that's right before the 2 o'clock hour. Let me just double check that. Yeah, see, it's 1350. You know, I'd want to take that trade if I was still trading. This one is iffy. I'd definitely use a limit order. And as you can see, if you didn't get out, it pulled back, or if you didn't get in it, it also pulled back and gave you another chance to get in on the original limit. But I'd just probably change it then and wait on the break above that one. So, but that's what I saw today. Pretty straightforward. I mean, a big rally. Again, we started off down at around 2079 or so, and we got as high as 2107 or so today. So, you know, nice rally, nice, and it was pretty obvious that we were working up all day long. And this is an easy to see spiking channel. It wasn't real clear right here what the channel was going to look like because it looked like it was going to be real tight. But the fact that we aren't getting back up to that eye is telling you that, hey, there may be two tiers, even if it's off of this small one. That was something else I was looking at. And you can see there, that's pretty much a measured, that looks about right there. So, but in the end, I just believe there's a bigger channel there that I have marked. So, but early on, I was playing this little tight channel here, and then you could play this one going up, this little double one. But pretty good trading day. Everything was fairly straightforward today. Um, this one, you can see this EMA, even though this looks a little rangy, you can tell we're making higher lows all the way up and higher highs for the most part. The EMA is still pointing up the whole time. So it's even though it doesn't look like it, this is still a nice trend working higher. So those little small bars that just keep going higher and higher and higher. And that's kind of the way the whole day was up here till we made the highs around 2107. So, but anyway, good trading day. You know, I know this is real short, but it's Friday. There's not much else you can say about it. It's pretty standard. Um, you know, if you just bought the pullbacks to the EMA or trend line and you didn't buy too high, you couldn't hardly go wrong. And even the corrections weren't very big until you got up here. But, you know, once you've seen this break and attempt to go higher, then you know you want to sit tight anyway. And you might have got a little tricky in here, but still, even this one, this was the one I meant to talk about. This one really probably should be green as well. I didn't like it because there's 4 bars in a row and a couple of dojis there. But notice the new high pullback, first entry, pullback, second entry. So you would have had to ride all this out, but it still would have worked. There weren't enough big corrections to where, you know, as long as you bought following the rules, you couldn't hardly go wrong. If that makes sense, because nothing ever backed up very far. And that's a good thing about a trend like this. Just look for a correction and a reason to enter, and don't enter too close to the highs, and you should be okay. It's really pretty simple. So the hard part is convincing yourself it's going to keep going higher and to buy when you know you're supposed to. So, but anyway, I appreciate. It's been a good week. I appreciate some of the emails I've gotten lately. Several of you sent me some emails, you know, indicating how well you did. I'm not going to read any today. I'm going to wrap this one up. But I appreciate the emails that people send because normally you only hear from the people that are really struggling. And so when you do get emails from people that are doing well, it's always nice to hear their success stories. So thank you guys for sending those. I'll try to share some. A lot of times I'll share those emails. Again, I'm going to wrap it up today. It's 5 o'clock and it's Friday, so I'm getting out of here. So I'm not going to do it today, but I will share them. I usually save them, and if I don't share them during that video, if I can remember to share them a day or two later, I'll do that as well. So, but I may share some of these next week. But anyway, I hope everybody had a good trading week. I hope you had a good trading day. We'll be back again to do it next week. But this is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.